I think the next 5 to 10 years are going to be huge in the Middle East. And I wrote in my notes, personal oath, I want to be pivotal to the transformation of the Middle East. And in the beginning, I was opposed to having like co-founders and stuff coming on board. And, I was like, I'm going to lead the ship on my own. But I think when you find the right people who believe in the vision the same way as you do, you can't ignore that. There's going to be a point in your journey you need to lean on someone. And I'm just grateful to say that I found 2 people that are driven, aspirational, believe in the vision. Right. That's the thing that you're going to need, is making sure that you have people that are capable and have the passion and share the vision.
Welcome to the Sandpit Startups podcast, where we journey into the minds of the brightest and the best the region has to offer. We're here to connect the entrepreneurs in the studio with the entrepreneurs listening at home. We sincerely hope the next half an hour or so motivates, educates, or inspires you. And if it does, you know the follow button is.
Today we are joined by Cameron Lee Roberts, the founder of DYP, Dubai Young Professionals.
Let's make sure that's on there, please.
Oh my God.
Did it go on with sticky tape? I must have.
You'd think so, yeah.
I love it.
Should we just not cut?
21st episode,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
When you're already in the top 1 percentile, so might
That's
as
what
well.
happens when you hit the top 1%. Just life just tries to take it away from you.
Okay.
So today we are joined by Cameron Lee Roberts, the founder of Dubai Young Professionals. It's a very vibrant community. I'm privileged to be one of the founding members there. It's a great place to be, but it has grown fantastically over the past few months, and there is many things astore. From a bit of a background for Cameron, he worked with EY in the UK, but then he moved to Dubai. He was working, but now he's up to something big. So today we will uncover all that is coming up for young professionals. So thanks, Cameron, for joining us on this podcast.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. So Cameron, obviously I feel like a lot of our viewers will have heard of DYP and what it is, but for that maybe 1%, can you explain in a sort of elevator pitch what it is?
Sure. I'll start off by saying we spend a lot of money on ads, and that's probably why a lot of people know about us.
Good.
But I guess in a nutshell, the DYP started as a place just for people to meet, ambitious people in the city, but has now evolved into so much more. And I think we were just speaking beforehand, it needs to be something that balances fun with business. And a lot of the reputation that we've established right now is being renowned for fun. And where I want to go to is having more business element there. And the kind of end goal for me is making sure that people are having fun, but also closing a lot of business. And that's how I think we're uniquely differentiated in the market.
Nice. So it's a community, and I feel like that's probably going to be the buzzword for today's episode. But what we see, like with a lot of the projects and startups that we talk to, a lot of them that go the distance have that sense of community behind them. What do you boil it down to that creates a good community, or even just any community in general?
Yeah, I completely agree with that as well, with community being a buzzword. I said that one on the first podcast I did. And a lot of people spend a lot of money to acquire communities and spend money on bringing it together.
Yeah.
But what I think makes a really good community is not gatekeeping the connections, right? And that's something that I realized when I moved, because we started off with a WhatsApp group. And a lot of people were on the WhatsApp group. It was very lively and people were engaging with it. I moved to mobile application when we weren't really ready to do so. And one of my co-founders said to me at the time, if you're not embarrassed by the launch, it was too late. I knew that product wasn't ready, but I took the risk and wanted to understand the implications. So we launched the app and closed the WhatsApp. What we realized is we were actually gatekeeping that connection and the interaction because the app wasn't intuitive enough for the user, and people weren't able to connect when they're not in events. Events are amazing. It's a really nice touch point, but having the WhatsApp app, having the WhatsApp back and being able to really see people connect there is amazing. That's where the community flourish.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, a really good community is driven by, one, having amazing in-person experiences, but two, you need the technology to support it. And I think that's where we deviated and didn't have the right technology.
Yeah, I think maybe if it wasn't too intuitive, you kind of raise the barrier to entry for these connections.
Yeah, definitely. And you probably saw the app, right? And I've got a webinar tomorrow. I'm going to discuss the evolution.
Mm-hmm.
You press the button for the mobile application. It takes 6 to 10 seconds to load before you go in. You send a message and it can send to 3 different people. And one of the things that I realized is we didn't do the right user testing. And there's a lot of things that you learn in the beginning when you're doing a startup. It's quite funny because I've come from a background where I've consulted on massive projects and thought I knew everything. And I was telling these massive CEOs how I think you should run your business. And then when it comes to your own capital, the risks are so much higher and there's so many more things that you actually need to do.
Yeah.
So I think there's a big difference between advising and implementation.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to take a brief break to hear from our sponsor, Middle East Advisory Partners, top-tier advisors servicing the owner-managed, family-run and SME sector. Here's Paul Donnelly to give you the tip of the episode.
Focus on customer service. Exceptional service builds brand loyalty. Train your team to prioritize customer satisfaction, address concerns promptly, and go the extra mile to exceed expectations. Publish your brand promise. Just like BMW, the ultimate driver machine. Nike, you have a body, you're an athlete.
If you'd like an experienced advisor on your team, reach them at me-advisorypartners.com.
And for example, there are always the technical blind spots as a founder when you moved into the app versus WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is a known devil. We know what its limitations are. But with tech, you never know what could go wrong. And how did you manage the tech aspect? Did you find someone from who's your co-founder right now? And probably he's also learning along the way on what's needed, what's not needed, because there is no perfect product. There's always evolution in any product.
Yeah. If I take it back a step, one of the things that I've realized is that the bar is set low for community building here. And we were really struggling on our go-to-market strategy because we wanted something quick. And one of the co-founders, Ben Grove, he's coming on under the DYP Club, which we'll get onto.
Yeah.
We were struggling to get the product ready so that we could go to market, because in January of this year, I committed to all these different things during one of the biggest events we've ever had. And I felt pressure on myself because I'd publicly committed to delivering it. We weren't sure how we were going to code up a whole system, the tech platform. So I went and looked for a white label solution. All the research that I did pointed to this company in America called BuddyBoss. We took that platform and licensed it, and they built and designed it with our own branding. And we took that to market without doing the user testing. We played around with it, obviously, and we were like, okay, it kind of works, The problem is, I think people now are so used to using 6 to 8 apps that are really intuitive, easy to navigate. And if you want to build your business on a tech platform which isn't intuitive, I think you're really going to struggle because the consumer isn't going to use it. Like our drop-off rate on that mobile application was huge. Hardly anybody checked it. And yeah, I think the evolution for me now is making sure that, one, our tech team, they're based just around the corner here in Business Bay in Dubai.
Nice.
They're very responsive on WhatsApp. I have calls with the CEO regularly. We have check-ins, and we really did our due diligence on the team. And one of the key things that I asked for when I was looking for a mobile app developer, I asked, do you have an UI UX designer? And show me his CV. His or her, it turns out to be a him. So I asked them, show me the CV, and they said, okay. They sent me the CV, and I looked at what he'd done and accomplished in his portfolio, went and sat down with him, and he showed me designs that he'd done in 5 to 6 hours maybe. And I thought immediately, this is the guy.
You were sold. Yeah.
This is the guy. When you see it, and then over time, when he brings what your vision is to life on Figma, spend half my life on Figma reviewing stuff at the moment. But yeah, it's definitely been a journey from rushing something to go to market compared to doing it right and paying the money that you need to pay, because ultimately, buy it cheap, buy it twice is my belief.
There's of course the camp that says done is better than perfect, get something out there, get feedback. But there's also a camp that says, you know, if you prepare and have the right launch, then you're bound for some sort of hiring probability of success. Like if you look at the way Threads was launched, they made it so easy for Instagram users to transfer over. It was, you know, you didn't have to create a user, you pretty much had it already.
Just migrated.
You just migrated, exactly. And the way TikTok are doing it, if we look at any of the big apps that have done well as of recently, I mean, TikTok was a good like 5 or 6 years ago now, but even when you download it now, it's still acquiring new users. The first thing it does is like gets you to watch videos. Like you're already starting. It doesn't care about creating an account for you.
Yeah.
It just gets you hooked on those videos. It's like, okay, this is what the app's about. So yeah, it's a toss up, isn't it? If you're ready or not.
It is difficult, but I don't regret that what we've done. We've probably damaged our brand. We've definitely damaged our brand in the process. We've definitely damaged the brand. And what I want the brand to stand for is quality in everything we do.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will realize the events and the venues that I choose to partner with, I take weeks to agree with them because I'm very selective.
Yes.
And this creates the entire image around this kind of premium offering, but it's not elitist, it's very accessible. The pricing is still very accessible. And that's the evolution that we've been on.
Yeah.
But thinking back to the first app, and you could easily say, spend more time and perfect it. We had a lot of things on that first app that we could have spent thousands, tens of thousands of dollars more, and then realized it wouldn't been of any use. So one of the things that I'm alluding to is the e-learning platform that I spent some time in building out.
Right.
On WordPress, because it's a plugin, you can see how many users interact with the specific courses.
Yeah.
And if you look across the board, not many people had actually interacted with those.
Yeah.
And if I think back in terms of going back to the original question, in terms, do you perfect the product and then launch, or do you take the MVP route?
Yeah.
And in hindsight, I'm glad I did because I've learned so much. The gamification, for example, has been something that's been huge in the community. People take it very seriously. I get emails saying, "Where's my points?" And that's very frequent, actually. A lot of people ask me.
Yeah.
And that made me realize things that you put out in the domain of your consumer base, you don't know how it's going to be received.
Yeah.
But actually, it's something you should focus more on.
Yeah.
I could have gone crazy on the e-learning platform and just gone light on the gamification. These are just two examples. There's a lot of things that you learn along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you realize the e-learning has no purpose, really, because you're up against YouTube, which has a repository of billions of hours of
for
stuff.
free as well.
Yeah, for free.
Like,
And from all the big names which are out there, and from Silicon Valley to anywhere in the world,
Exactly. And the main thing is, what is your USP? Our USP is connection.
Yes.
Like that's why people come to us for connection. They're not sitting there on their phone doing learning. But you don't think that when you're building it. You can hypothesize, but you have to pay the money and feel the pain and then iterate.
Yeah. I think when it comes to budgeting, a lot of founders, especially in obviously tech-oriented businesses, they don't budget for like the tweaks so much as they do for the actual project itself. So if you went to market with e-learning, say it costs like 10 grand, let's say, but then you went to market and you got a bunch of sort of like feedback, and what you wanted to do based on the back of the feedback cost 10 grand. Well, it's already gone. It's gone somewhere that you didn't really actually need it to go. Like, so maybe there is a bit of an argument for keep it lean, figure it out, and then like have that resource available to immediately action the feedback. Yeah.
But with founders, usually there is it's a good habit and a bad habit. It's called the shiny object syndrome.
Okay.
Right.
I know
So you get tempted to try many things together and see which one works best. But of course, as a founder, fundamentally, you know what we want to do. So that's always going to be the spine, the backbone of the business. So for you, it has always been connections. For me, also, when I'm on the app, it's mainly because of the connections, the community, more than the e-learning. I also tried to stay on the e-learning side of things on the app, but then again, I found that, of course, it is useful, but I wouldn't probably go for another course on the same platform. But you learned it already. You could see actively, and that's what is important now, because you're an app. You get to track all the metrics, and it makes it more interesting for you to see, okay, this is something where I could try, which could be different from what you already had in mind. Has it been that for you?
Tracking the metrics specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like going back to the courses, you can see quickly who's engaged with the courses very few. Out of 350 members, I think, I want to say 12 people actually started a course. That's
So
not
you're
even,
not
one
even
of them.
finishing it.
not even
Are
finishing.
you?
Yeah, but I did
Top
finish.
1%.
Top student. The only student.
He'll be emailing you. Where's my points?
Yeah, that's
I was
one
going to
thing I have
gamify it as well
ask you.
because
That would be cool.
I was going to gamify it if you learn and then you get badges and stuff, but you can go too far that way because the overall feel and the branding and the guidelines that we've set now is very premium. From the fonts to the color palette to the way we communicate, very premium, but accessible still.
We're going to take a brief break to hear from our sponsor, Inheden.
Hey there, visionaries and dream chasers. Meet Inheden, your ultimate partner in turning your visions into digital realities. They are not just another ID company. They are your growth partners, a tech angel invested in your success. Looking to expand your business or create an unforgettable user experience? Inheden has your back. With optimized software development, cutting-edge design, and a blend of in-depth research and marketing, they are here to help you empower your ideas. Curious? Head over to inheden.io. That's INHEADEN.io. And the details to get started with your dream project today. Dream, empower, inspire. Inheden.
That's really nice. So you've got a skill or a talent, let's call it, for bringing people together. That's been evident in everything you've done so far, particularly with your under 18s events in the past. What do you think it comes down to in order to bring people together? Like what is that hidden sort of essence that people are like, yeah, I'll come to that, I'll do that?
I think it's the crowd that you bring into a room. And I was just thinking, a lot of people come to our events and the thing they say, wow, I didn't know there were people like this in Dubai. And that's something that I really pushed to do from the beginning. Because coming to Dubai, a lot of people think it's the glitz, the glam, has part of this bad reputation around it. But I'm a firm believer in there are all types of people, any city that you go to. I've traveled the world. And what I've been able to create with DYP, which I'm incredibly grateful for, is I've brought all the best people, in my opinion, which are not just driven, but they're authentic people. You know, they're genuine individuals. Yeah. And when we did the yacht event, which I was quite opposed to in the beginning because it's a fine line between becoming too party and stuff.
Yeah.
But having spoken to everyone, I spoke to at least half the people on that yacht. There was 100 odd people there. And a lot of the people said, look around, look at the people that you've brought together. They're just good people. And that, to me, I think is one of the things that will differentiate a community like this that's driven off the back of creating business relationships, because people will remember the experience and the conversations. Less so, I know I like to have the venues that brings them in, but if they're not having quality and engaging conversations, they're unlikely to be retained or converted into members.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, a lot of businesses struggle to be memorable, but when your product is experience, that's something that sticks with people for a very long time, for sure.
But there have been other things also that I would like to add. In the networking, I've met many people who are new to Dubai. So usually they tend to look for apps such as the meetups of this world or the internations. But when I spoke to them and I see them regularly now, so what draws you into young professionals, then internation? It's apart from, as you mentioned, it's the people. It's, of course, the venue is great. Internations also probably would look at you and say, okay, these guys go for good venues, we'll do the same. But you already have that head start in getting the right set of people who want to be part of one particular community only, because they don't want to be part of many others that dilutes their own brand equity, because in the end, it's all about brand equity and relationships.
I was about to say that, exactly. And it's interesting you say that, because as much as sometimes it's the elephant in the room, it is about what do you want to associate your brand with. And that is why I felt compelled to do the rebrand and spend tens of thousands of dollars on the new direction for the company, because I firmly believe the top people in Dubai want to be associated with the right things, because it actually pushes back to their personal brand. And if we can make sure that we've created a brand and a space where they can be proud to say, I'm a member of that, that's when you really start to get the big names, the right people, the right crowd, the business deals, the people with money, the decision makers.
So in order to get anywhere, to get some good progress on a project, you need to care, obviously. But even more so than that, in order to get good progress in a short amount of time, you you need to care even more than that. So with what you've done, it's been an incredible achievement so far. Why do you care? Why do you care so much about bringing strangers together?
My mum, back when I was a kid, we come from a village back in Wales, a very small population. And there's this argument back in the UK that community is destroyed. And I remember when I was younger, like pre 10 years old probably, I'd go to my neighbor, I'd go over, we'd ask for sugar. Like the community would be thriving, right? People would be playing out. And then over the next few years, as internet became more accessible at home, people wouldn't be out as often. My friends would be staying at home. We'd be connecting over Xbox. We'd be playing. I remember there was just like this crazy drop-off rate of people weren't going outside and playing. We were just actually indoors connecting over Xbox or something. And I remember my mum had this crazy idea about running a massive event in the middle of the island, bringing everybody together. And she brainstormed it and brought 4 other women onto what she called the board. And there was a documentary around it. It was such a big thing in Wales. There wasn't much going on, obviously. But they came, and when I was in school and stuff, they came and recorded me, and I was part of the documentary and the journey. And then I think of a population of maybe 70,000 on the island, maybe 5,000 or 6,000 people turned up for this event, and it was a huge success. And I could see the impact on people, There's just to see bringing people together, to go from people not actually interacting with each other to bringing a whole community together into one place, and everyone was having fun. And I've enjoyed that. And I think that's what probably drove me when I was 16 years old to do the events that I did, to bring people together again. I really like it. And I remember one of the first events that I ran for DYP, I was just sat, and at that point, I was doing a lot of the things I shouldn't have been doing, but I was like checking in guests, saying, "Hi, my name's Cameron," blah, blah, blah. And behind me, I overheard someone screaming, and I turned around, and the person was like, "I haven't seen that person for 10 years. I'm so happy to see them." Just little things like that. It feels like you've got purpose, there's meaning to your work.
Yeah.
And I compare that to my previous career. I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I've had, but sometimes you feel it's not tangible. It's Excel, PowerPoint.
Yeah.
You do a lot of analysis. You sit on a board meeting. You present a 50 to 200 page document, and the C-suite level will just look at the exact summary and say, "Cool, bye."
Yeah.
That kind of diminished all the things that I felt that I would sacrifice for my role. I would lose my weekends, wouldn't spend time with my friends. And back in Manchester particularly, I'd gone from a very social environment when I was in university to taking my career very seriously from day one. I went into EY with a chip on my shoulder. I'm the Welsh guy from the village. I want to make sure that I was the one that deserved this opportunity. So I sacrificed everything. I had no social life. I worked on a project. I would go out there Sunday, would come back Friday. Saturday, I'd just clean my clothes and then back to the project, which was in Scunthorpe, of all places in the UK. I don't think many people would know. But yeah, just in a nutshell, I think you feel like your work is tangible. It makes an impact on people's lives, and that feels good.
That's really nice. I think it's quite eye-opening saying, how many people showed up to that initial event. I think people do want to be connected. It's just a matter of like, how do you get them to? And it's nice that you're facilitating that.
So what are the plans now? You already have brought it to a certain level, so the expectations are going to be astronomical now that, okay, this is already at such a high bar. What are the plans to take it up to the next level where people can engage themselves in this community?
I think the next 5 to 10 years are going to be huge in the Middle East. And I wrote in my notes, personal oath, and I wrote, I want to be pivotal to the transformation of the Middle East. And then I tried to strip that back and think, how can I play a massive role in that?
Okay.
How can I make my brand synonymous with doing business in the Middle East? DYP has a limitation because it's Dubai, right?
Yeah.
You can't just put Dubai young professionals in Riyadh. Then I thought, what brand name could we use which stays true to the roots that we've used? And I was going through all these different brand ideas, and you sometimes think of 100 ideas and they're just stupid. Like I had Novo Club, Forte Club, Cadre, all this crazy stuff. I think our audience are young professionals. It served us really well. It says what it is, young professionals. But my problem with sometimes with the word young, people can think it's associated with one, immaturity and lack of experience. But I wanted to stay true to that. So I decided on a brand name which I think could go across the Middle East and potentially further, called the YP Club. YP staying true to the original brand that we had, and Club just gives you the sense of togetherness.
Right.
We're all in this together. We're part of a club. And the evolution for us now is to really set the bar so high that nobody can compete.
Okay.
The issue with DYP currently is that the bar to entry is really low. Anybody can run an event, start an Instagram, have really good content. And that scares me. I've left my job and I'm thinking, if it's so easy to enter this market, there's no protection, then I start to think, what would really differentiate us? Apart from all the things with the events, the people that we have, the brand is really strong, it's the technology. And I've worked with the team that I mentioned and gone through and sat down and really thought, like, I've designed most of the app on PowerPoint and Canva, how I imagined it to be before I got a team in. Because once I sat down and started drawing things out, how I thought it would look, I really started to understand the relationship between everything. And certain things you had to iterate even on drawing. So by the time I got an app team in and the website team, I already had all the designs for the website. I understood all the relationships between the different components. I thought through the user journey. And then on the mobile application, I already had the MVP. So one of the reasons that I wanted to build the app specifically is because I think it allows you to scale and you can deliver a personalized service to an individual.
Okay.
Because I think the big limitation of a community, if you want to scale, is that you can quickly lose the sense of community. And one of the things that we're building now is a machine learning algorithm that takes all of the data from your profile. So when you create a profile, you select what you're an expert in, and there'll be like a load of different things to select. You're looking for an expert in. What are your interests?
Right.
There's an app called Wasta, which I'm sure you guys have probably heard of.
They have been on the show also.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're basically looking at, we didn't know about it, and one of our members, my uncle, told me, and I told him about what I was building. And we're building something like that specifically to close business across the Middle East within the app. So not only do we have a solid brand, solid positioning, all the right people, and a strict membership criteria so we know exactly who's coming in, but we now have a machine learning algorithm which will evolve into AI once we have enough touch points. We're just not there yet.
Yeah.
It's just not prepared. We haven't consolidated the data. But once we do, we will give you a matching function which will say, Abhishek, I think you should do business with this person this month because you're looking for pre-seed funding in this industry and this guy happens to be an angel investor and he's looking for that investment. And I think that is a scalable piece of technology once we build it out. But we'll have in-app checkout, we'll have groups focused across business and lifestyle. There's a lot of things that we're doing. Do you want to ask a question there, because I'll deviate into the membership program as well, if you want me to.
Sure, I would love to know how you're trying to put it in different layers, because now that I understand that there's so many things now coming into the app, as a user, I will be definitely intrigued when you mentioned about, okay, I'm currently in my fundraising stage, so I will be looking at investors. And if there is someone from the community, it's much easier than, let's say, a cold referral, where I have to go through 2-3 people, and then I get a referral, and it works, it doesn't work, I don't know. But if it's a warm referral, somebody from the community, they know that we are on the platform. So there's already a lot of ice that has been broken already in order to interact. So I can already see people like me. There'll be many others, as you mentioned, but my uncle is also from the same space. So we will see opportunity here. But what is the other thing that you are touching upon now?
One of the things that I've realized is that we have a significant amount of business owners inside the community.
True.
And I never really expected that, because when it started, it was just about bringing white collar people, all the top white collar investment banking, accountants, lawyers, and we have media, real estate, we have everything really, which you will know.
Yeah.
What I didn't expect is all these business owners. From 350 members, over 100 of them are business owners or CEOs. And then you have another 60 odd, which are at either director or senior director level. So the seniority is very high. But the whole framework, when I set Dubai Young Professionals up, was never geared towards business owners. And now I feel compelled to set different frameworks for different people to make sure that we're delivering value for each of them.
Right.
They'll all have so the young professionals will be the standard membership that everybody will be on. But then we've created the Young Leader Program. And this is really trying to bring the top thought leaders of Dubai and business owners into one room and making it very selective to begin with to make sure that we really hone in on the quality and understand what business owners need. And the stuff that we're looking at is running a workshop every month, but it's not just any workshop. We've already had a meeting with an agency which specializes in C-suite level workshops.
Okay.
And it's actually more about having conversations as opposed to them educating you. So there'll be 10 CEOs in a room or founders, and the person taking the session is just guiding the conversation. And I think that's how you really start to exchange ideas and thoughts. Because we could have taken it online, all this webinar stuff, but I was like, let's make it in person. That's what people want. They want to be in person. If you think about an MBA program, a lot of people say you go on an MBA, and the main thing that you take from it is the connections.
The network, yeah.
And I want our Young Leader Program to be like an MBA program across the Middle East, where you're making these very senior connections and you're in a room where you're having thought-provoking conversations about how to lead businesses, how to manage your time, how to manage your supply chain, who are the best contacts for this.
Yeah.
And then that evolves into something really cool that we built in the app, is that if you're a young leader, you get a verified business page. Once your business page is verified, it'll allow you to hyperlink into another page inside the app, which sets all your business profile. And as the founder, you get to allocate team members. So if I'm the business owner and then I'm a young leader, I've been approved, I can assign you if you work for me. And it'll basically show all the profiles. And it'll show what your business model is. Are you B2B, B2C? How much funding have you raised? Are you looking to raise funding? All of this can then be pulled through into the AI module once we're ready. And in the V2, what we're then doing is addressing the credibility issue in Dubai. Because a big issue in Dubai is that everybody says that they're capable of delivering something.
True.
But what we want to do is once you've been allocated the match, you go on them, you now see that, yes, they're a young professional. Their business page is verified by us. We've checked it. We've done the DD for you. You can click and see it. But what you'll also be able to see is reviews. So if they've done business inside the community, then you'll be able to see it. And you'll be able to see who's left reviews. You'll be able to see your mutual connections. It's very comprehensive and it seems like a lot. But I think over time, it'll take 12 months to stabilize because there's so many different features that we're working on. Yeah. You will have an ecosystem, a complete ecosystem around professionals and business owners.
Yeah. I mean, you talk so much about how everything you want to do is of a good quality for the brand's sake. And that, it just sings to that, because obviously you don't want to go into business with someone that hasn't got a good track record. You want to check what they've done and who they've worked with and what those people think of them.
Yeah, and I was looking at another community and it just hit me straight away. They were showing, if you're looking for a specific person, let's just take marketing, you filter for marketing, there's 100 names. Who do you pick?
Yeah.
It's such a simple thing. And I thought, this is the solution that we have to work on. We have to make the people incentivized to do business in the community. That's how you keep people. So one of the big things that we're going to have to manage is retention.
Yes.
It's something that we're looking at, but obviously our renewals will come in March, April. And by then the app will have been in the public domain. And I think people will be really impressed by what we're building. But yeah, I think it's about making sure that people are incentivized to do business and you know who's credible. But I don't want to diminish other people's opportunity from closing business. So that's why the matching algorithm will play a key role and make sure everybody has a fair opportunity. Right. But those who take the opportunity will be rewarded for it.
Nice. So, like I mentioned or alluded to at the start of the episode where we talked about how successful projects need to build a community, what would you advise those starting projects? Tell them, like, hey, this is how you should start. Like, if they don't even have an MVP, they've just got an idea. They've got an idea what kind of people want to be sort of behind that. How do you then, what would you recommend to them to say, like, this is how you get to them and this is how you persuade them
Specifically community building, I assume, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I had somebody come through that's now just set up Toronto Young Professionals.
Okay.
And made me think I should probably franchise this. But,
Yeah.
you know, I encouraged her, and I had a couple of calls with her, and I really want to see her succeed. And she had a lot of issues in the beginning. You know, I advised her and I told her how I did it. But one of the biggest issues you're going to have is credibility and trust.
Yeah.
And I was using a LinkedIn tool at the time, which basically allowed me to have 100 conversations a day. LinkedIn have really cracked down on it now. I think I got really lucky with the window that I had it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because over time, if you think of all these platforms, 5-6 years ago, everyone was so accessible. You would not get banned. It was very difficult for them to track. They weren't even tracking. And over time, they've made it difficult for cold outreach on social media platforms.
Yeah.
On LinkedIn, I think I just got lucky. I was messaging 100 people a day. I was going really narrow into my search criteria, you know, down to the role and the industry. So a lot of the things I was doing in the beginning was analyst associates and senior associates in law firms and investment banking. That was kind of the niche that I went for in the beginning. And I used that tool to allow me to control the people in the room. Because in the beginning, what was happening, like, there was only 25 in the first event. I don't really know the demographics. I was so nervous that first event. I remember after the first event, I was so tired from standing for 4 hours and just all the preparation. I was like, I need to sit down. But like over time, I've used these tools and now more my ad campaigns to make sure that I target the right people to keep it balanced.
Okay.
We're still not there yet. Like I would like to have a 50-50 male-female. I would like to make sure that all demographics are well represented in the community, not just one. And I think that's, again, a differentiator for us, actually, because if you go to an inter-council event, you'll see the Russian council, British council, all of these different councils just require specific passports, right? I think they're becoming more lenient now.
Yeah.
But this is one of the things that I wanted to bring people. I love being around different mindsets, different backgrounds, different cultures, because it helps you work in a much better way. Like in an environment like Dubai, you need to be able to understand different mindsets. So I really set out to bring those people in. But I think going back to the question before I went so tangential, is credibility and making sure that you're there and present and having those conversations. Because I used to wake up at 5 a.m. I would do 3 hours of conversations on LinkedIn, start my job with EY, and then work the full shift with EY, which can be quite demanding. So all my EY people out there, I know the pain. But after that, we go straight back into messaging on LinkedIn. And that, the beginning was the hardest bit. Like now it's, you can use word of mouth and stuff. And I sometimes think I'm not as passionate anymore. I am as passionate, but I'm working smarter. Because I think my opinion is, I liken it to building a hotel, right? Setting the foundations, building it, and then you need somebody to run it. Where I really thrive is setting the foundations and building it. And right in the setting the foundations and building, your 16, 18-hour days just grinding.
Yeah.
But because now I'm more on the product management and the creative side, I really need a creative mind. And that doesn't come as natural to me. I'm very good with aesthetics, but creativity, I'm more of an analytic person. So I need to take breaks in my day to allow the ideas to flow. And that's not something I ever appreciated before, because I come from a background, it's like, if you're not doing 16, 18 hours days, you don't care about your work, you don't care about your project. But if you really want to allow that creativity to flow, and if it's something that you're struggling with, I think do genuinely take breaks and enjoy them.
Yeah.
And don't feel bad for doing it.
It's very easy to get like to feel guilty for taking breaks, but especially in a creative industry, it's like, yeah, it's necessary. It's really necessary. Yeah. So we're pretty much at the end of our time here, unfortunately. I know we could probably bang on for a little bit longer.
Absolutely, I'd love to.
Yeah, so if we could just wrap up with maybe like a little bit of advice for anyone, I suppose, trying to build their own community. I suppose that was the last question. So
credibility,
take it a different direction, perhaps.
Also, when you
I don't know.
take it into a tech aspect of things, because communities usually tend to be
good point.
like the BNIs of this world.
Yeah.
They try to have a global app, but people don't go more. They have 14 or 15 chapters here, right? So
Wow, I didn't know
these
that.
networking channels. So you can kind of get lost in all of this. So yes, coming back to this, you have the app which will allow you to scale, to be in different cities.
Mm-hmm.
Dubai was one, probably you'll be in Abu Dhabi soon, and then
Riyadh,
in
the,
Riyadh.
the three
right?
cities that we're focusing
The
on.
three cities. And the app allows you that platform to scale just by being in Dubai and not travel. Of course, you will have to travel.
Yeah.
But so community building and marrying that with the tech. Some nugget on that how do you balance both of them?
Yeah.
Balancing both of them.
Yeah.
Now that's a good question.
Yeah.
That's been one of the hardest challenges. And right now, I would say 80% of my time is spent on the tech because it hurt me so much the first experience that I'm adamant that the second time round that we correct all those issues that we faced. So I hate using the micromanaging, but I'm involved to every small detail now. And I think I would have to say I'm grateful for the team that I've built around me. And in the beginning, I was opposed to having like co-founders and stuff coming on board. And, I was like, okay, I'm going to lead the ship on my own. But I think when you find the right people who believe in the vision the same way as you do, you can't ignore that. And there's going to be a point in your journey you need to lean on someone. And I'm just grateful to say that I found two people that are driven, aspirational, believe in the vision. And some days they're working at 6:30 in the morning, and I might wake up a little bit later, and there's a ton of work that's already been done.
Right.
That's the thing that you're going to need. If you don't have funding, so we don't have funding, we have no intention of in the next few months at least to have funding, because I think we've got a good roadmap to execute without the need for it.
Nice.
Is making sure that you have people that are capable and have the passion and share the vision.
Amazing.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks so much, Cameron. It's been a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
I appreciate
Thank you
it,
for
boys.
joining
Thank you
us.
very much.